sight of every person who was educated. Teachers, doctors, lawyers, everyone was brutally murdered in front of their family in most cases. So the country was reformed with completely uneducated people who had been through one of the most horrific traumas you can possibly imagine.
Like, the reality of trafficking and the reality of sexual exploitation here is just so in your face. Like, at night, the streets completely transform.
When we first began working in a village here, right outside of Phnom Penh, 100% of the girls were trafficked.
You go one street over, and almost every establishment on that street is a prostitute bar.
We're working with children who were sold out of their homes. So they are sold to a pedophile who has sex with them and then returns them to their house.
The things that are happening in this country to these kids, they're not okay. Like, the Lord weeps over the human trafficking and over the way these kids are used and abused and forgotten.
Selling your children for sex is a cultural norm in Cambodia, but it's a cultural norm that cannot be tolerated. A few years ago, I was just living my life as normal in America, and it was really easy to close my eyes and to just be blinded to situations like child sex trafficking, because you read a little bit in the paper, see a little something on TV, and it hurts too much to really think about the fact that that's real.
Child prostitution is a really big problem here, and it's one of the hardest things to have to know about. It's the ultimate robbing of innocence.
It's really difficult to understand how a parent could sell their own child for sex. And in Cambodia, unfortunately, most of the children who are sold by their own family members. One thing that doesn't justify the problem, but that helps us to understand it and contextualize it, is what happened with the Khmer Rouge just over 30 years ago in this country. And during that time, when the Khmer Rouge took over Cambodia and were torturing and killing people, people were afraid. They were afraid to speak their minds. They were afraid afterwards to talk about what had happened, and they began to harden their hearts. So a mother can sell her daughter for sex and convince herself that her daughter is not in pain, that it's not going to hurt her emotionally, that physically there's going to be no problems, and that it's a win-win for the whole family.
You know, like, you never want to hear about that stuff, but the reality of life in this country is that it exists, and it happens frequently.
We have children who were trafficked when they were 5 and 6 years old and on up through their teenage years, and had children of their own, and then trafficked those children as well. So it's generation upon generation.
It's not just being kidnapped, it's that people are actually buying other humans. You know, like, this is a big problem.
I think one of the main questions, especially for what we're trying to do here, is to find out what's really happening to boys.
People suspected that the boys were being sold, but no one had statistics and no one could prove it.
And it's just something that has such a stigma attached to it that it's very hard for people to get on board with wanting to help boys and young men. And there just needs to be more awareness about the fact that boys experience the same kind of pain and the same kind of shame and need the same freedom that a girl or a woman needs.
The people of Cambodia don't believe that a man can have sex with another man. Culturally, they just don't accept it. They don't believe it's true, and they don't understand enough about their own anatomy to even believe that it's possible.
In Khmer cultures, we think that boys are always pure. Their purity are always kept
it's kind of proverb, you know. They said the woman is like, you know, a white cloth, and if something happened to her a little bit, you know, she will not pure anymore. But about men, he's like a gold. Even they have sex before marriage, he's still fine. He's not dirty at all.
So we've spent the last 3 years preparing to open Punlok Tamai Prevention and Restoration Center, and our first one that we opened is for boys. We have over 70 boys coming daily to the center now, and instead of doing an inpatient model with razor wire on the fence and guards at the door, we've decided to do an open model.
One of our main goals is that we do not ever want to institutionalize or add more stigma to a boy who's been abused. They already face so many obstacles that they don't need us just adding on to that.
So our model is open. They can come and go as they please, but we offer all the services they would get in inpatient treatment.
The cultural construct is saving face, so they don't want to show you anger or show you fear or show you sadness because they want to save face for themselves and also for you. They don't want to embarrass you by their own emotions.
They suppose a boy must be strong, and even though sometimes they bleed, but it's better than cry. So that's why it seems to be more difficult for boys that come directly to anyone that he trusts the most and to tell something happened like related to sexual abuse.
We hold daily services for boys from 8:30 until 5 every day. We are really big in play therapy. Is the way that we connect with the boys, because a 9-year-old boy in this culture is not going to sit behind a closed door in a counseling room and tell you that he's been raped by a man. What we do is we have a playroom, and in the playroom there are 4 different centers, and the boys go to the centers, and then they stay in the center, and the staff will change out toys and different manipulatives for them to play with. And during that time, that's when our staff build relationships of trust. And during those times, those are when the boys disclose to our staff that someone has hurt them.
So I feel like this is my passion, like this is my calling, and I used to be a hopeless person, but now God transformed me, and God gave me new life so I can help others, people, help the kids to have a new life as well.
Christ has come to set us free, and that freedom is not exclusively for us to hold and like to be free, but it is that we can share freedom with everyone.
I want to see kids have, like, their life have been restored, and they feel hope again, and feel love again from their community.
We're constantly challenged by people that we're in over our heads. We don't have enough education, we don't have doctorates in sexual abuse, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough staff, but we do have the Holy Spirit. And so, in the wake of discouraging comments, my statement to our staff of encouragement is, guys, we have the Holy Spirit, and through the power of God, these children will be set free.